Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
What is going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. This is Real Talk brought to you by Nate the Great and Kenny Moore. Kenny, how are you doing? How's today been for you?
That today is good. It's another chance to get on and talk some sports, and I'm always ready. Let's
I've
do it.
been watching a lot of baseball today, but I'm kind of going from two baseball shows back to over here. So today, I guess the first topic we'll go right off the bat. We're going to talk a little bit about some college basketball stuff. So we have the Final Four coming up, and who do you have? Who do you have winning each one of the Final Four matches, and who do you have coming out as victorious for the whole thing?
So in terms of winning the Final Four matchups, I'll start with Gonzaga and UCLA. I think Gonzaga has basically been the best team in the tournament. They've been the best team in the country and the best team in the tournament. So I don't think that changes. UCLA has done they're on a Cinderella quote unquote run. And credit to Mick Cronin and I think it's his second season, and he's leading the team to a Final Four. So hats off to him. So, but I just think that Gonzaga just has too much talent, and they're just playing so well as a team. Like I just love the way how connected they are and how they share ball with each other and how they play defense and how they help each other out. And they just play as a unit. They're the greatest definition of team right now in terms of college basketball. So I just don't think UCLA has enough to match up with them. So I got Gonzaga in that first game. And then Houston and Baylor, I think that's just going to be a slug match. It's going to be a slugfest, I should say, just a defensive struggle because Houston kind of struggles scoring the ball at times. So I think that it's going to be a low scoring game. But I think Baylor is going to. I just think they're the more well rounded and they have more talent on the offensive side of the ball. So I think Baylor's going to come out victorious in that one. And then in the finals, Gonzaga Baylor, I'm sticking with the best team, the best tournament, and they make history and do complete the perfect season and complete it with a championship. And Mark Few gets his first championship, and Gonzaga is your national champion. So those are my picks for the Final Four.
You're going with me on this one. I'll start off with UCLA and Gonzaga as well. Gonzaga they've been on a roll. They're the first team since 2015, I believe, to go all the way undefeated and going at this point. Looking at this team, though, you have you have a Gonzaga team who's have historically been really, really well, have done really, really well at choking in the playoffs. While you have a UCLA team who's played more games to get up to this point. So even though I wouldn't be surprised in this matchup if UCLA wins, continuing that underdog streak,
Mm.
they beat the team who I thought was going to make it to the finals, and
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
Michigan. Michigan, they beat
yeah,
Michigan.
yeah. I thought the same thing.
So I even though even though they beat the team going all the way up to the finals, I'm going to have to go with Gonzaga only because they have played less games up to that point. I know it's not like NBA playoffs where in the NBA you have play games that either like back to back, or you have a game that is um, two a game a day apart. Might be 2 days after the first game. I still think that maybe you might deal with a little bit. UCLA might have dealt with a little bit of fatigue, not as much though, because not as much
Yeah,
though
and
because
they've
Zaga
had a
has
whole week. Yeah, they've had 3 or 4 days
yeah.
um, off, so I don't think that's gonna be an issue at all.
I don't think it's going to be an issue, but that might. I'm going with Gonzaga though. Now going with the other team that also chokes heading in up to this point in the playoffs, Baylor. They go up against Houston. Baylor was the other team. They're the team that I have winning the whole thing. That's what they had before, and that's what it is now. I have Baylor going and beating Houston. I have Baylor beating Gonzaga in the finals.
Okay. Well, you know, I just say, I can see I see your point. Baylor's played really well all
Mm-hmm.
year long. So, but I just think Gonzaga is just playing at a higher level in terms of basketball. And, like I said earlier, just the way that they share the ball and the way that they move the ball and the way they're just so connected. I said it, they're just so connected. Like they're like playing off of each other, and they give up a good shot to get a great shot and it makes the extra pass. Everybody's a weapon in terms of, there's not no 4-on-5. Everybody's, live in terms of when they get in the ball. They have the talent to be able to score from anywhere on the floor. And I just think Jalen Suggs is a really special player. And I think a lot of times when it comes to these type of games, it's the special players that kind of separate themselves on these stages, and they make those plays that get your team over the top. But I think they blow out UCLA. I'll be surprised if this game is close because I just think UCLA, like you said, they snuck by Michigan. Because honestly, Michigan kind of made some mental errors down the stretch. Took some shots that I was a little surprised at. Just to try to win that game in the second half. And I just think that UCLA survived more than they beat Michigan. So I just think this is their high point, and they kind of, almost, everything is gravy from this point on. So I think that Gonzaga is going to, they're on a mission. So I think they take them out, and then, like I said, the Houston and Baylor, I think that's going to be such a tough. That's going to take a lot out of Baylor because Houston is relentless. That's the thing I love about Houston's team. They're relentless. They play with a lot of energy. They attack the offensive glass. They guard, and they're going to, they're going to battle you for 40 minutes. So I just think that game is going to take a little something out of Baylor, and Gonzaga is going to have a little easier time with UCLA. And I think that that's going to be the difference between, on championship night, that Gonzaga is a little, like you were saying, in terms of being a little, less wear and tear, a little less, wear on their legs. And I just think that's what's going to be the difference.
Yeah, and that kind of leads on to this next topic here. We'll go with Gonzaga first. I honestly think Jalen Suggs might be top 3 coming into this next draft. Do you see him landing around that, or do you see him going down a little lower? Or do you see also the next part to the question is, do you see anyone else from that Gonzaga team making hitting the NBA draft? Do you think they're going to wait till the next season?
No, I think, well, the first part is, I think he's definitely going to be that, top three, top five for sure. It just all depends on how the lottery shakes out and what the, teams' needs are at their picks. But I think he's definitely a top five talent. It might be between him and Cade Cunningham in terms of who is the number one overall, lottery pick or lottery, prospect or however you want to term it. But I just think he's a special player, man. He has physicality. He gets to the basket. He has great vision. He sees the floor well, and he's a great athlete. So I just think he has the measurables or whatever, the term the draftniks like to use. He has all of those things, and he checks all the boxes in terms of who's going to be a really good point guard in the NBA. So I think he for sure is the guy in terms of Gonzaga. The rest of those guys, I think, is Drew Tim. Is that the big guy's name?
Yeah,
I like his game. Yeah, I like his game, but I'm not sure if that's going to translate. I think he might be a really good college player. I'm not sure how good he's going to be as an NBA player. But in terms of Gonzaga, Jalen Suggs is definitely the guy that's for sure. That's the surefire NBA draft prospect on that team.
Yeah, looking at this Gonzaga team here, I see Jalen Suggs maybe being drafted, if not at the top seed, maybe number 2. That's where I see I see it almost being a lock there, to be honest. And now looking at Drew Tim, I think he might be drafted, say, second round, to be late first round, early second round. And Conman, I see your comment. I sent you a link, so if you wanted to hop on, go right ahead. Now going on to the UCLA, who do you see coming out from the UCLA basketball team into the NBA draft? Do you see anybody, or do you think that they should wait until next year?
I think Johnny. I don't want to mess up his last name. The shooter that transferred from Kentucky. Johnny with a T. But anyway, I think he has NBA potential. He might want to. I think he might sneak in that mid to late first round because he's a really good scorer and he can really shoot the ball. And of course, if you can shoot the ball, you always have a job in the league. But I think he's probably the only guy that I would say that would that has NBA potential that I saw on that team.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go. I agree with you, and the guy that you're talking about is Johnny Juzang.
Yes.
Yeah, Johnny Juzang. There is one guy that I think has NBA potential, but I don't think he should be drafted this year. I think maybe wait out till next year. I see him having the NBA potential, but I think he should wait it out. And that's Tyler Campbell. He is a phenomenal player, but I think he can learn if he just stays in one more year. I think he can learn and be that good basketball player heading into the NBA.
Yeah, I'm not sure about him. He's a little undersized, and so I think he might struggle a little bit. But he is quick and he guards, and so he could probably, like you said, he definitely should go back to school for another year. But I'm not sure in terms of his NBA potential.
Yeah, I think that he should. I think he should wait out.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait out one more year, but I can see him getting drafted in the future. So going off this next team, Baylor. Do you see anybody from Baylor?
Oh yeah, Davion Mitchell. Yeah, he would be the guy. He guards. He shoots at a high rate. I mean, high percentage rate. And nowadays, especially in the league now, it's not a lot of you don't hear. It's not a lot of defenders. We had this discussion about Draymond Green in a previous show, but there's really not a lot of guys that really hang their hat on defense. So, for him, I think that will really he has the potential to be a really good NBA defender. So I think he's probably the guy that I would look at in terms of having some NBA potential on that Baylor team.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the you said Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Another guy, you're just looking off of his stats, just in the Arkansas game alone. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Maiko uh, Tengui, something like that. I mean, just in the Arkansas game alone, he shot for 22 points. 5 rebounds. He played for 37 minutes. So I can see. There's been players in the past um, who got drafted probably just because of their what they've done in the March
Oh
Madness.
yeah,
And I
definitely.
can see Maiko being one of those guys. Just off of the performance of the Arkansas game alone. It's the point that I'm trying to come up with.
Yeah, that's definitely. You can talk about quite a few guys between the Kemba Walkers of the world, Stephen Curry. I can even go back to Wally Zerbiak. He had a run in a tournament that turned him into a lottery pick. So you can definitely. This is because this is the stage where the most eyes are watching. So, when you have a big game on this big stage, then that's going to get, the attention of the league. So, him having that type of game, in Elite Eight, that's definitely, a good look for him. I honestly, I haven't watched a whole lot of Baylor, so I'm really going to be I'm really looking forward to watching this Final Four game, just to see them some more. So, so yeah, definitely, it's going to be some guys that can either help their draft stock or they hurt their draft stock.
This next guy, this next team here, the last team that won the cover is Houston. They've been on a roll. Anybody in particular that stands out? Do you think it has NBA potential there?
Yeah, Quentin Grimes is definitely the guy. He's there, when they need a bucket, that's who usually is the guy that's taking the shot. That's usually the guy or the guy that's getting the bucket for them. He has nice size. Um, he can, he can get in the paint and penetrate and make things happen. I want to see him get a little better in terms of his shooting and be a little more efficient. I think he's a little streaky in terms of his shooting. So I think he probably would benefit from another year in school just to really kind of work on that jump shot and get that a little more consistent. But he has the body and the size for it, and he wants to take the big shot. It's not everybody doesn't want the ball in their hands at crunch time. We always talk about guys that run away from the ball or don't want the ball in their hands when it's time to make a play. So he's a guy that wants to make a play and wants the ball in his hands. So that alone, is one of the requisites of some of the, attributes of a person that has an opportunity or have a chance to play in the league.
Yeah, Quentin Grimes, I agree with you that I think he probably should. I could see him waiting for another year. I think it would be better for him. But looking at his draft stock right now, I think he's another guy that probably will be drafted around early second round to late first round, somewhere in that range. I think that it will be better for him if he stayed over in Houston. Now Now that leads on to my next point. could you see the Houston Rockets, because they for sure will be a lottery team next year?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah. Do you see Houston taking any of these guys? Because
Mm,
they have they both are in the area. They both have the experience playing in the area.
yeah. Yeah. Well. The Houston guys, just the Houston guys.
Just
Yeah, I
Houston.
don't know. Yeah, no. I don't think that they're going to be. Those guys are not high enough to because, like you said, Houston is basically going to have a top 5 pick, maybe the number 1 pick. Um, so no, I don't think any of the Houston guys will be on their radar for that. Jalen Suggs would probably be on their radar, but then you have John Wall. So then what do you do with him? So yeah, I don't think any of the Houston guys would be on their radar in terms of picking in that lottery. No, they're not quite there yet.
Okay, so I know this isn't off of the topics that we came up with, but I do have a question that it kind of I am curious why they do this. When it comes to the draft lottery, when they determine who's going to have the first through eighth, the teams that didn't make the playoffs, when it comes to determining those kind of picks, I am curious to see. I don't know why they do it how they do it. To be honest with you, because Golden State was dead last in the Western Conference last year, but they had the second pick behind the team that was second to last, the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I the reality is I don't like how they do the lottery system, but can you clear that up?
Oh well, basically the worst year, the bad, or what's the word I'm looking for? The worse your record is, or the more losses you have, gives you more balls, ping pong balls, whatever you want to call them, the balls for the chance for the number 1 pick. So basically, that's why they started the whole tanking thing, going back to the process with Philly and so forth and so on. So having the worst record gives you the best chance of getting a high pick, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a high pick. So,
Okay.
so if that makes sense to you. So basically, because as a Knicks fan, we would, the year that Zion was the number 1 pick, we had the worst record that year. So that should have given us the best chance to get the number 1 pick, and we wound up getting, I think it was 3 with RJ Barrett. So it doesn't guarantee you the number 1 pick, but it just gives you the best chance in terms of the luck of the draw. At the end of the day, it's still the luck of the draw. So you can lose all you want to. It doesn't guarantee you the number 1 pick.
Okay, that does clear it up a little bit, but I still don't like it. I prefer the NFL wave of that kind of draw.
Yeah, I guess they had to do that because teams was like seriously. I think it's a little easy. I don't know. I think it's a little easier to tank in basketball than it is in football. If that makes sense, because
Yeah.
you can't take your foot off the gas in football. You stop playing, you'll hurt yourself or you'll hurt somebody else. So you always got to be all gas and no brakes in terms of in the NFL. In the NBA, you go manage, you can sit guys, you know what I mean? You can cut guys minutes. So you have a little more of a way to manipulate your record in the NBA than you do in the NFL. So I think that's why it works better in terms of having the worst record for the NFL. But I think in the NBA that it's a lot easier to tank.
All right, so we're gonna go off, go off into this next topic right here. We did the men's side. Now we're gonna go into the women's side. We talked a little bit about this on the Four Bros radio show, so as of right now, the team that I have going in all the way is still in it. Is still in it, and that is UConn. I mean, UConn is just they're I looked up a stat that they've been a Final Four team in women's basketball for every year since 2006.
Yeah, 15 years straight.
15 years straight since 2000.
Crazy.
So, and not only that, back in 2000, back when the majority of the players that play in the WNBA are from UConn. So I have them going all the way. I have them beating Arizona, and I have Stanford beating South Carolina. And I have UConn beating Stanford. What are your thoughts? Who do you have coming out on this?
Well, like when we
Connecticut and
talk,
Arizona. So the Connecticut
yeah,
versus Arizona, and then Stanford versus South Carolina.
yeah, I'm with you in terms of UConn. They're just a machine, man. They just keep on just turning out, and they have an elite player. So like I said earlier, on the men's side, this is the time where elite players make the difference between who wins and who loses, because it's playoff basketball, and at some point you just have to be able to make a play because you've been scouted, scouted A to Z. Coaches know your stuff. They know the stuff you like to do. They know your tendencies. They know what you can and cannot do. And it's at some point where it's you and that person in front of you, and you're coming either off a ball screen or you're in an isolation situation where it's, girl on girl and you got to make a play. And I just think that UConn has the young lady that can make a play. So I'll pick UConn. And South Carolina, I'm going with South Carolina because I'm a big Dawn Staley fan. She was a great player. She's a great coach. She's just built a great program in South Carolina. So I think it's the head-to-head matchup in terms of Gino and Dawn Staley. And I'm just going to go with my heart and pick Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks to host the trophy and win the championship.
Okay, so we're gonna take things to the NBA side right here. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Boston Celtics. Is it time for Andy to go to the GM?
Yeah, it's Danny Ainge. To me, yes, I think it's time for Danny Ainge to go as a Celtics GM. I was looking it up a little earlier, and he's been a GM since 2003, and they've won one championship. They've been to two finals, and since that Big Three era, they haven't been to an NBA final since then. And everyone else is always talking about. Everyone is always talking about how Danny Ainge is such a shrewd evaluator of talent, and he accumulates all these draft picks, but it hasn't resulted in. It's resulted in one championship in what is almost 20 years now, and the pieces have come and gone, and he just hasn't. And the Celtics are a team where they're considered to be the cream of the crop. It's the Lakers and the Celtics in terms of championships. And the Celtics are, they're supposed to be known for championships. And for him to have one championship in 18 years as a general manager, that's just not getting it done. That's not the standard that the Celtics are used to. And I think he's gotten a pass, honestly, because he's made some good draft picks. I give him credit. Jason Tatum is a great player. Jaylen Brown is a ascendant player. He's becoming a great player. But this year they have underachieved and they just have not played well. And they just haven't gotten the job done. So um, I think that based off of what happens this year, if they don't, if they don't if they can't advance if they get knocked up in the first round, I think he goes and Brad Stevens goes because he's been there for now. He's been there for going on. I think this is his eighth or his ninth year. I think he came in 2007. So he's been there quite some time. And sometimes as a coach, your voice starts to, players start to tune you out, and your voice doesn't carry the same weight, and you're not able to get through to the players the way you once did. So I just think it's time for sure. It's time for Danny Ainge to kind of be held accountable for the fact that he only has one championship in 18 years.
Yeah, I totally can agree with you on that. Anytime that a GM or a coach has been around for a very, very, very long time, they haven't done as much success with it, then it's time for them. Now, I did listen to something when we were having the similar discussion with Jason Garrett. Somebody did bring up a good point. I can't remember who it was. But they did bring up a good point. And it's that if you have the same guy as part of that system for 20 years, the message pretty much stays the same. Message pretty much stays the same. Their method, stays the same, and teams basically figure out how to build around that. To build around that, to go, to figure out how to stop that roster. Now I know it was with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys really haven't done much. But if you being part of that organization for too long, I think people are going to start really catching on and figure out how to really stop that organization. Do you understand?
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but Jason Garrett got fired. Like, he was, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so I can speak to it, that he was a mediocre coach for a long time, and they underachieved for a long time. So you have to either, and, I believe the saying is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So at some point, either you're going to just accept the fact that you're not going to, you're just going to be a good team, but not a great team. Because that's what they've been. They've been a good team, but they haven't been a great team. They made one run under Brad Stevens to the conference championships. And they haven't come close to that standard since then. And like I said, the Celtics this is not the participation trophy. They're not just happy to be in the playoffs. They want championships. The Lakers just passed them for the most championships in NBA, history. So the standard for them, especially in Boston with the Patriots, what they, the run that they've been on, with Brady and how many championships they won. And, the Red Sox has had championship runs. So everybody's won in Boston in terms of the major sports except for the Celtics. So I think the fan base is, I think the fan base is ready, is getting restless. I think the owners are getting restless, even though they may not be saying it publicly. But I think behind closed doors, they're getting restless. So I just think it's put up or shut up time. They have to, because even at the trade deadline, we've been talking about for on this show for weeks and weeks how the Celtics needed to do something in terms of their front court. They needed a front court scorer because all they have is wing guys and guards, and their front court guys struggle to score the ball. And what do they do? What does he do? He trades Daniel Thies, who is probably playing the best. He probably was the best front court player, the most versatile front court player, the guy that can actually score. And you don't get a guy back that's going to help your team. And you get Fournier, another guard. So to me, that makes no sense, and that didn't improve them as a team. I think they got worse instead of better. So, and now they're under 500. So, and they're struggling to even compete in the East, which is considered to be the weaker conference of the two. So I think all of those things, if you tally all of those things up, they all say that Danny Ainge has done a substandard job, and it's time for him to go.
I
hear you,
think
Mike. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Mike. But at some point, you can't. I don't care how long you've been there. Red Auerbach eventually had to step down. So eventually, you're gonna have to make a change. No one stays in the job forever.
yeah, I totally agree with that. So I'm gonna give what your thoughts are, and there's something funny that I found on this next topic. This next topic is the ranking. The ranking between Kareem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Patrick Ewing. So what's your ranking on that?
Oh yeah. So the first one is easy for me. Olajuwon is to me no brainer the number one. He was
Yeah.
the best in terms of offense and defense, the most gifted both offensively and defensively out of the three centers by far. Unstoppable in the post, had a million moves, and just of course the dream shake and all the other things that he did in the post. He was just special. He had some of the best footwork that I've ever seen. So Olajuwon is definitely number one. I kind of went back and forth between 2 and 3 because I'm a Knicks fan. So, this was tough in terms of picking Patrick Ewing and David Robinson. But I'm going to go Patrick Ewing slightly over David Robinson because he had to carry a greater offensive load, and he had to be the defensive anchor. I think David Robinson benefited from the fact that he had Tim Duncan beside him. That made the game a lot easier for him. Whereas with Patrick Ewing, he did not have another all-star or another Hall of Famer beside him to make the game easier. He had to score 25 to 30 points a night in order for the Knicks to be competitive. And David Robinson, he can kind of, drift in and out. He can do, but once Tim Duncan got there, he didn't have to carry the load that he had to carry before Tim was there. And so I just think that for that reason, I'm putting Patrick Ewing at number 2, and then I'm putting David Robinson at number 3.
So there was something funny actually I found while doing my research for this. So this rankum, they added in one more player, but this rankum was actually posted on Twitter.
Okay.
And, except they added in one more player. That one player they added was Shaq.
Oh wow, that changes the game.
Yeah, and majority of the people, off of popular vote, the order that was chosen was Shaq, Olajuwon, Robinson, and then Ewing. In that order. That was off of popular vote. But taking Shaq away from the ranking, Kareem Olajuwon, that's probably easily my number 1. But like you, I actually went with I went back and forth. I went back and forth on this. Off of his career stat based, I'd probably go with Robinson over Patrick Ewing. But off of his his clutch uh, clutch gene stuff, I would go with Ewing, to be honest with you. So this one went back and forth, but I eventually going to pick Ewing, and then Robinson is my number three.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough call because David Robinson won championships.
Mm-hmm.
So and Patrick Ewing didn't. So that could be another differentiation between those two, or one that would make one over the other. Depending on your criteria. So and David Robinson is no slouch. The guy was a great player. Hall of Famer. Multi-time All-Star, Dream Teamer, the whole 9 yards. Uh, so you can't go wrong either way. It's just personal preference. And as a Knicks fan, I saw how Patrick Ewing went to war every night and just battled, and really literally carried the Knicks on his back because it honestly he never really had another great player to go with him. John Starks was a good player, but he wasn't a great player. I mean, he was probably the best in terms of the second guy that was there during his time for an extended time. So he just came in and out, and he just battled, and what you was getting from Pat every night. You was getting that 20 and 10. You was getting those block shots. You was getting him just leaving it all out there on the court. And I just got a ton of respect for Pat Ewing, and shout out to him for the work that he's doing as a coach now. Head coach at Georgetown. They made that run in the Big East tournament and was able to make it to the NCAA tournament. So it looked like he's starting to gain some momentum there and starting to build the culture that he wants. So salute to the big fella.
There's a question actually addressed to you, Kenny, from Conman. He says, what I like Kenny's opinion on this. Should Isaiah Thomas should have been on the Dream Team over John Stockton? Just curious.
No question about it. No question about it. That was, John Stockton was just coming into to that upper level or that upper tier in terms of players. Isaiah Thomas was already there. And there's and it's no disrespect to John Stockton, but Isaiah Thomas was at that time probably the premier point guard in the league. Especially coming off those finals battles against the Lakers when they battled each other those 2 years, man. Oh man, I appreciate that, Mike.
Yes.
So yeah, no question that Isaiah Thomas he should have been on that team. And we know, if you saw the Dream Team documentary, we know why he wasn't on the team. It was something personal, and I get it. But in terms of talent, Isaiah Thomas definitely should have been on that Dream Team. He was better.
So let's go on to the next topic here. I wanted to get. So, what are your reactions about about Bill's viral video talking to his AAU team?
Oh man, I loved it. Being a guy that coached AAU, I coached AAU for 4 years. Shout out to the Jacksonville Warriors. So I know exactly the setting that he was in. He was talking to those players right after the game, and just the way he kept it so real. He kept it so 100% authentic with them, and I just love the way he talked to them because as a coach, especially coaching players today, these high school kids today, they're entitled. Some of them just don't know what real work ethic is, and I think sometimes, especially in these AAU in the AAU circuits and in these AAU tournaments, because they play so many games, I think that the competitive gene or the competitive level, like they get okay with losing, if that makes sense. Because they're gonna play another game or another two games that day. It's okay if we lose this game here. We'll take this game off and then we'll go and try to play the next one. But the thing is that you don't know whose eyes or who's going to be watching you at that particular time. So I just think he was letting them know, like these opportunities are not going to come along every day. So every time you get on the court, you got to have that where you're going to step on the guy's neck because, like he was saying, like you're not getting my job. He was letting them know, you're not getting that job. Freddie, I will never do that. I don't even know why you even bothered to make that comment. Um, so I just love that how real and how authentic he was, and how he just let them know like if you're coming from me, like you in trouble because I'm not giving up my job. So I just think it was just a great message, and especially to young players of today. And I saw it all across social media, so it definitely resonated with a lot of people.
So I loved it as well. Just to reiterate some stuff. There is so many lessons that you learn in sports that applies to your regular life as well. In sports, you have to put in the hours and hours of work and
Right.
preparation with some people that you may not know or may not care about as much, but you have to trust in order to have a common goal. That's the same way in life. Any job that you apply for, you have to put in the work to get into that position that you want. You have to do. You have to put in the work that you need for any job that you want. You have to put in a lot of work.
Absolutely.
And even after that job, what that job is requiring may need a lot of work as well.
Yeah, I just think, I tell kids all the time because, I coach high school basketball now, and I also do skills training as well with young kids and with all ages. But I tell kids all the time, there's there's no special formula to this. You just got to put in the work. Like there's no magic pill that you could take. There's no shortcut to being great. Like the saying is that you have to put in 10,000 hours to be able to master anything. So that means you have to put 10,000 hours of work into it to master anything. So there's no secret formula to it. You got to put in the work. You got to get in that gym. You got to work. You got to put those shots up. You got to dribble. You got to fall in love. I saw Kobe said that. Rest in peace to Kobe. That you got to fall in love with the boring stuff. Like you got to fall in love with those repetitive drills and shooting the same shot and working when nobody's watching. Those are all of the things that make the difference between the good players and the great players. Like the great players work on that game when no one's watching, and they put in that time. Like you got to be a gym rat. So especially if you're trying to play in NBA, it's only so many jobs. Even in college, to be able to play college basketball, it takes a select few. Division One basketball takes a select few. It's a special. You got to be special in order to play at that level. And the only way you're able to be that special is that you got to put in the work and you got to get in the gym and you got to put that sweat equity in. And that's the only way you're going to get out what you put in. You go hard, and then you get great results. But if you cheat this game, it's not going to love you back. So you can't cheat the game. You can't cheat the process. You got to put in that work.
So, this is when I was in high school. Which wasn't actually too long ago. When I was in my sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school, I was in a high school marching band, and we had to get up. We had to get up, and we had to We had to go. We had to go to bed. Go to rehearsals at 7 o'clock in the morning. And we had to learn the drill, and we had to get better and better and better each day. Draw majors and SIs, they had to get up and go to school even earlier than that. I mean, draw majors, they had to go there at 6:30 in the morning, just so that they can prepare for when the band comes out onto the field. I mean, that alone just also applies to this to life as well, and to this video. You know, I play baseball like during season. I play baseball every Saturday and occasionally on a Wednesday as well, and I try to get better each and every time I'm out there on the field, both on defense and on offense, to try to get better at what I am doing. And this goes with everything that
Absolutely.
you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, you just gotta, like you say, you gotta put in that work. And you gotta put in the extra work. Like that's the separator. That's what makes, the difference between the average guys and the guys that are great. They put in that extra work. As a coach, like I gotta watch film. Like I can't prepare kids if I'm not prepared myself. So it's nights where, and I work a full time 9 to 5, and it's nights sometimes where I come home from practice and I gotta get in, I gotta come in my office, and I gotta come in here where I am right now and get on my laptop and fire up that film, because I gotta make sure that I'm prepared to prepare the kids for that opponent. So that means I gotta write up a scouting report, and that means I may have to stay up till 11, maybe 12 o'clock at night to write up a scouting report, because we got a game on Friday, and Thursday night I got to be up till 12 o'clock and then go to work on Friday, work a full day, then go to the school and coach a game, and then get home at 9, 10 o'clock. Then have to turn around Saturday morning and get up for a 9 o'clock practice. But that's part of the process. I say all the time, you got to grind if you want to be great. So if you're not willing to grind, then you can't expect to be great. So it just takes the work, man. You got to get in the gym. And
Yeah.
let me address this one thing really quick before we switch gears. Freddie Henderson. The Cowboys haven't won the championship in 25 years, but we still have more championships than the Giants. Stop talking. Still have more championships than the Giants, never won one in 25 years. I just need to say that. Let's move on.
You know what? Because Dallas is, never mind. I probably should have done that earlier. So moving on, we have about 6 more minutes. 6 minutes left. Hold on. Do have a comment. Guys, I just interviewed Reggie Williams from Georgetown, and tonight I did. Okay. So we do have about 6 minutes left. We'll end the show a little bit early. Today. Kenny, do you have anything to add? Any final comments that you'd like to say?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just want to say, it's going to be an interesting weekend. This is Final Four weekend. So it's going to be, I'm looking forward to watching these games, both the men and the women. I'm going to actually watch the women's Final Four as well, because they don't really get the shine that they do, the shine that they should. So I'm definitely going to watch the Final Four, because, like I said, I'm a fan of Dawn Staley. So I'm looking forward to watching those games this weekend. And then, of course, the NBA is still rolling. We still got, this MVP situation is kind of up in the air. Who's going to be the MVP? When is LeBron James coming back? Andre Drummond getting integrated into the Lakers system. So, it's still a lot of questions to be answered. What happens to DeMarcus Cousins? Does he sign with the Clippers? There's some rumors out there that he's going to sign with the Clippers. How does that change their dynamic as a team? So it's a lot of, a lot of storylines that we'll be tracking over the weekend. And oh boy,
Oh my gosh.
What's going on, Kenny?
what's up, man? What do you
How
want?
you doing?
All right.
I'm fine.
You did that.
I'm fine. How are you?
How
can I help you?
I got a question.
Sure.
I'm not even talking about none of the comments. I want to know, what is your thoughts on the Kevin Durant situation with Michael Rappaport? For one, my thoughts is Michael Rappaport dropped the ball. As a man, as like you lose what you call the G code, man. Even though Kevin Durant was wrong, there's certain things you just don't do, and that's one of them. What being you have in my private in our inbox, that's something that the public should not be known at all. What's your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think and it's tough for me to say this because Michael Rappaport is a New Yorker, and I'm a New Yorker. So, but I agree with you. That was a sucker move. There's no other way to say it. Like you said, if we having this man-to-man conversation between the two of us, that shouldn't be made public. And then and then he was like a keyboard tough guy too, talking about meet me this place or then meet me that place. You knew he wasn't gonna meet you there, and you want to screenshot that so you looking like a tough guy. Like, come on, man, you don't really want that smoke like that. So yeah, I just think I wasn't a fan of that, and I wasn't feeling that either. I just think they should have just, first of all, why are you even doing that via DM? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure, you got between back channels. I'm sure there's enough back channels. He's a guy that's on Fox Sports. And, I'm sure he could have got in contact in some way, shape, or form to talk to Kevin Durant and find, some of his people, whatever the case was. So I just think that was totally unnecessary. And yeah, that was in bad taste. Like, you don't screenshot that stuff and make it public. I agree with you. That's the one thing I agree with you for one.
And to add to that, man, he dropped the code. And man, Kevin Durant, bro, you supposed to be one of the leaders of this NFL, the NBA, one of the best players of the game. There's different ways to get at people without going that far, the deep as he did. Maybe next, But hey, we all know the dude is sensitive on when it comes to social media. When fans coming back at him, he's kind of sensitive, getting his feelings. But Michael, if you have to leave because I come on the show. Then, hey,
I don't blame you, Michael. We all feel the same way.
But Kenny,
I seriously thought you came on for a different reason.
Hey, Nate, you are the producer of the show. You run the production side. The next time Kenny come on the show with that shirt on, you just remove him. We don't want to see that.
Never. You don't want to see it. You will never remove me. There you go. That's right.
Look at it. We killing all the ratings on this show right now.
They're the local team. They're my second favorite team. So
look, as long as we're not getting into that. We're not getting into that. We're not getting into that.
My God.
Roll the credits. Time to go. Roll the credits.
Having two teams, but now Nate talking about, that's my second favorite team.
You've known that for a while.
Mm-mm.
I like to root for the local teams.
Hey, Kenny, but I want to tell you and the rest of the fans out there, you need to be afraid. Y'all need to be very afraid. Because in a couple of weeks, it's over. Say good night. Say goodbye. Because the Clippers going home.
3 to 5 weeks, right?
Denver's going home. Utah's going home. Phoenix going home. The Nets going home. Your Knicks and your Nets are going home.
Oh, please.
and the Lakers are reclaiming
Lakers
the
are going
throne.
home.
We taking the championship. You see,
if LeBron is healthy, if AD is healthy, you don't know that. So
hey,
all
no
this blubbering you talking about.
there.
Please.
Hey, the only if is Anthony Davis. We all know LeBron.
You don't know that. A high ankle sprain, that's the worst kind of sprain. You don't know if LeBron's gonna be LeBron. You don't. That's the truth.
Or like flipped, Anthony Davis is probably going to come back, but LeBron is the one that.
It's just a report.
I'm more worried about Anthony Davis. Like than LeBron. I know LeBron. His body gonna be all right. I think he could have been playing. This is what I was told from somebody who covers the NBA. LeBron is just resting. He's just on a little vacation, resting, and he's gonna come back.
Yeah. The way he was writhing in pain. Yeah, he was.
But you see that he get right back up and hit that three. But you see that he got back up and hit that three.
Right. Okay.
Freddie, this will be you in a couple weeks.
No, man, listen.
Yeah,
Anthony Davis is the only one I really have fear for because this dude cannot stay healthy. LeBron take care of his body. I mean,
I'm gonna tell you who you have fear for. You have fear for Kyrie Irving. You have fear for Kevin Durant. You have fear for James Harden. You even have fear for Blake Griffin and his rusty knees, and LaMarcus Aldridge. You scared of all in that. You got a knife. You put a knife to a gunfight, man.
Ken, I gotta ask you a question. Do you have ESPN on demand?
Sure, yeah.
You see the beautiful Jeannie Buss on the Stephen A. show.
Oh yeah.
She said, "Bring it."
She sound like it. She's supposed to say that, and of course,
bring it.
Yeah. Okay.
We ain't scared. Kyrie might. Right. We don't know if Kyrie gonna play. He might go on another hiatus. We don't know.
Stop it.
We don't know that.
But you know the playoffs. You know the playoffs. I agree with you, Mike. You should get a shirt. You've been a big commenter tonight. You've been the number one. But yeah, Kyrie, Kyrie is coming. Especially playoff time.
Is James Harden all right?
Yeah, he's gonna be fine.
Okay. Have we seen what Kevin Durant is?
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Kevin Durant, that hamstring, those are tricky. So there's no guarantee that he's gonna be healthy. So I will give you that.
And can you say that Steve Nash needs to lower some minutes with James Harden too? The dude is 32 playing that side. How many minutes?
Yeah, but you know what? Because I think they were going for that number one seed. So now that they've gotten that, I think they may, because I think Philly is going to kind of take a step back now with Embiid, and they're kind of struggling right now. So they might make some, create some distance. So once they start creating some distance, I think he's going to take his foot off the gas and start cutting down their minutes to make sure that they're fresh for the playoffs.
I will have to say this: the Nets, they won today. They won big time, and they didn't have Kevin Durant
and James Harden without the ball.
And smack the Hornets.
Smack the Hornets without ball. And they
smack the Hornets. Smack the Hornets. It's just another night at the office.
They did to Boston. They did the same thing to Boston a few weeks back without.
Boston is slipping. Philly slipping. This is pretty much Milwaukee. That's probably going to be the only challenge to assuming that Embiid isn't able to be 100% come back. If Embiid is 100% coming back, then I would say Philly and Milwaukee. But if not, then I don't know. I think
Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens at the end of the season, I believe they're both going to be gone.
You're echoing what I said. I said it's time. That's what we thought was on our topic. It's time for them to go.
Because I think Boston missed their opportunity when they didn't pull their trade off for Anthony Davis, in my opinion. I mean, when you have that type of player available, even when they had a chance to get James Harden, they have how many first-round draft picks?
That's my point, man. All those draft picks, all that draft capital, all these trades, and one championship to show for it.
Yeah.
That's not good enough.
Nope. But I just had to come on here to tell you.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
People.
Goodbye. Thank you.
I removed him.
People, y'all
Oh
got
my
a real
God.
Goodbye. Roll the credit. Roll the credit.
I started real talk.
Roll the credit.
The rules
It's been
were
great. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back.
Go Cowboy
We'll be back. We'll be back.